these ones want me to find the domain and range and the vertical and horizontal asymptotes. Domain and vertical asymptote go together, range and horizontal asymptote go together. So find the domain. I want to take the denominator for all of these. I'm going to take the denominator and set it not equal to 0. Then I'm going to solve for x. So on this one I get x doesn't equal 3. So my domain here is all real numbers except for 3. And then my vertical asymptote is x equals 3. For my range, I actually look at for 1 and 2, I look at my end numbers. So it's going to be everything except for the last thing. So my range is all real numbers except for -4. And then my horizontal is going to be y equals -4. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing on number 2. I'm going to take my denominator and set it not equal to 0. I subtract 4 on both sides. I get x doesn't equal -4. So my domain is all real numbers except -4. My vertical asymptote is x equals -4. My range is all real numbers except for -2 because that comes from the end number. And then my horizontal asymptote is horizontal. Let's get that wrong. Horizontal is x equals y equals -2. Fine. 3, I do the same thing. I'm going to take my denominator and set it not equal to 0. I solve it and I get x doesn't equal 3. So my domain is all real numbers except for +3, I meant. My vertical asymptote is x equals 3. For my range on this one's a little bit different. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. I take my coefficients for my x values and I'm going to divide those. So I have 2 divided by 1, which is just 2. So my range is all real numbers except for 2. This pen is dying. And then my horizontal asymptote is y equals 2. I'm going to do the same thing on number 4. And I'm going to start by taking my domain and setting it not equal to 0. I subtract 5 on both sides. And I get x doesn't equal -5. Then domain is all real numbers except for -5. Then I want to do my vertical asymptote, which is x equals -5. My horizontal, range is going to be, I divide the coefficients here, 4 divided by 1 is 4. So all real numbers except for 4. Hopefully this pen won't die. And then my horizontal asymptote is y equals 4. Okay, so on number 5, it wants me to figure out which one has a vertical asymptote of 5 and domain of all real numbers except for 5. So I'm looking at my denominator, and I'm looking for something that would actually be x minus 5, or equivalent to that. Because when I solve it, I need it to give me x equals 5. So this one is B, and then if I take a look at C, if I also set this one equal to 0, and I add 10 to both sides, I get 2x equals 10. Then I divide by 2 on both sides, and I get x equals 5. So this one also works too. Okay. On 6 and 7, it wants me to simplify my expression, so for these ones, I just want to factor them, so I'm looking for what multiplies to 2 and adds to negative 3. This would be negative 2 and negative 1, so I get x minus 2 and x minus 1. On the bottom, I'm looking for what multiplies to negative 6 and adds to 1. That would be negative 2 and positive 3. Then I'm looking for what I can cancel out on the top and bottom, so I'm looking for something that's the same. The x minus 2's are the same, so I cancel those out. And then I'm left with x minus 1 over x plus 3. I'm going to do the same thing for numbers 7. I'm looking for what multiplies to negative 4 and adds to 3. That's going to be negative 1 and positive 4. On the bottom, I'm looking for what multiplies to 8 and adds to 6, which is 4 and 2. On this one, the 4's cancel out, and I'm left with x minus 1 over x plus 2. Okay, so on number 8, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to factor. The top can't factor anything, so I'm just going to have p plus 10. Then on the bottom, I can pull out a 2 because they're all even. This one I'm going to have to go back and factor again, but for now I'm just trying to get it so I can factor it. On the second top one, I can factor out a 10, so I get 10 p squared plus 4p plus 3. And then on the bottom, I get 10p squared out, and I can also have p plus 10. I'm looking for what multiplies to negative 21 on this one. And that's going to be negative 7 and positive 3. Over on the second one, I have positive 3 and positive 1 multiplying to 4, or multiplying the 3, adding to 4. And then I don't have to do anything else on the bottom. Okay, so then I'm looking for what I can cancel out. I have a p plus 10 on the top and a bottom. I have a 10 on the top and bottom. I do not have a p plus 1 on the bottom. I have a p plus 3 on the top and bottom, and then I'm left with p plus 1 on the top. And then 2, p squared, and then p minus 7 on the bottom. I'm going to do the same thing on number 15. I'm going to see what they have in common. They both are divisible by 3, so I take that out. I have 5n plus 2. And then I have 5n plus 2 on the bottom because that's what they gave me. On the second set, I can take out a 2 from the top. I get n plus 8 because I divide both of those by 2. On the bottom, they're both divisible by 3, so I take the 3 out front. 3n divided by 3 is n. 18 divided by 3 is 6. Okay. Then I look for what I can cancel out. I have a 5n plus 2 on top and bottom. I have a 3 on the top and bottom, and then I'm just left with 2n plus 8 and n minus 6. Okay, so on number 10, these one, 10 and 11, these are finding the quotient, so these ones are dividing. What I need to do is I actually need to flip my fraction. So I'm going to factor and flip at the same time because I didn't give us enough room. So on the first one, I could pull out a 3, so then I have x plus 4. On the bottom, I have just 3x plus 4. Then I'm going to flip. Ooh. On the bottom, I'm going to have 5 times 72 is... Why? 360. So I'm looking for what multiplies to negative 360 and adds to 31, which would be... Okay, so I factored my things and now I'm looking for things to cross out. I switched the sides that these were on, so the negative 72 went to the top and the negative 27 went to the bottom. I can cross these out and nothing else. So then my answer here is going to be 3x plus 4, x plus 8, and then on the bottom, 3x plus 4 is one of my factors, and x plus 3 is another. And that's my answer here. I'm going to do the same thing on number 11. I'm going to factor, so I know this is going to be 7 or plus 2 plus 1 minus 7r. 1 is 2r. Minus 4 plus 1. And then over here, I'm going to flip this, so I'm going to have, I forgot an r right there. 2r minus 4, and then on the top, 8 goes into both 56 and 16, so I'm going to pull out an 8. 7r plus 4. No, 2. Just kidding. Can't do math. Then I'm going to cross out things I have in common. I have 2r minus 4 on the top and bottom. I have 7r plus 1 and 7r plus 2, and I'm left with just an 8. On number 12 through 19, I'm finding the sum or difference. So these ones I'm combining like terms if they have the same denominator, which this one does. 3 plus 5 is 8, and the denominator stays the same. Over here they have the same denominator, but this time I have a minus sign in the middle, so I'm going to subtract. 6 minus 1 is 5, and then I have x plus 4 on the bottom. On 14, they have the same denominator, but this time I have an x, so I can't really combine like terms. I just have 4 plus 7x on the top, and then x minus 3 on the bottom. Same thing for 15, same denominator, but I have an x and a number, so I'm just going to do 5 minus 3x because this one was subtraction, and then it's over x plus 6. On number 16, I want these to have the same denominator, which they do not, so I'm going to factor. That would give me x minus 1 and x plus 4 for this one. So I need this one to have the same pieces, so this one needs to be multiplied by an x plus 4 over x plus 4. So I have 3 over x minus 1 times x plus 4. That one doesn't change. I'm going to distribute here, so I get 5x plus 20 over x minus 1, x plus 4. Then I combine like terms. I get 5x plus 23 over x minus 1, x plus 4. Same thing on number 17. This one factors to x minus 2, x plus 3. So on the first one, I need to multiply by x minus 2 over x minus 2. I get 4x minus 8 over x minus 2, x plus 3, minus 6 over x minus 2, x plus 3. I want to combine like terms. Negative 8 minus 6 is negative 14, so I have 4x minus 14 over x minus 2, x plus 3. On 18, they have completely different denominators, so each one needs to be multiplied by the opposite denominator. This one I'm going to multiply by x minus 3 over x minus 3. This one gets multiplied by x plus 5 over x plus 5. I get x minus 3 over x plus 5, x minus 3. Order doesn't matter on the denominator, as long as I have both pieces. On the second one, I get 4x plus 20 over x plus 5, x minus 3. So then I combine like terms. I get 3x plus 17 over x plus 5, x minus 3. Same thing on number 19. I'm going to multiply by x plus 2 over x plus 2 and x minus 3 over x minus 3. I get 7x plus 14 over x minus 3, x plus 2. Minus 6, I'm going to treat this as a negative 6 when I distribute so I don't forget about the minus in the middle. Minus 6x plus 18 over x minus 3, x plus 2. Combine like terms, I get x plus 32 over x minus 3, x plus 2. Oops. This is a plus sign. I don't know why it looks so weird. Okay, on 20 and 21, when it wants me to solve for x and I have two fractions equaling each other, I just cross multiply. So, multiply these two. So I'm going to get 3x plus 9 equals 4x minus 8. And then I subtract 3x on both sides. I get 9 equals 4x minus 8. I add 8 to both sides. I don't mean 4x, I just mean x. So then I get 17 equals x. I'm going to do the same thing on 21. So I'm going to get 5x plus 30 equals 6x minus 12. I'm going to subtract 5x on both sides. I get 30 equals x minus 12. I add 12 to both sides. X equals 42. On 22 and 23, it wants me to find the LCD and then solve the equation. So to find the LCD, I take the number and the variable. So my LCD here is 3x. And then I'm going to multiply everything by 3x. So I would write this as 4x times 3x plus 2/3 times 3x equals 6 over x times 3x. And then I just simplify. So on this one, the x's cancel out. I have 12. Over here, the 3's cancel out, and I get 2x. Over here, the x's cancel out, and I get 18. Then I want to solve for 2. So I subtract 12 on both sides. I get 2x equals 6. Divide by 2. X equals 3. I'm going to do the same thing on number 23. I look for my LCD. This one is 5x because I take both of my denominators and multiply them together. Then I'm going to multiply them all by 5x. So I have 13x times 5x plus 4 over 5 times 5x equals 7 over x times 5x. And then the x's cancel out. 13 times 5 is 65. On this one, the 5's cancel out, so I have 4x. Over here, I have the x's cancel out, and it equals 35. I subtract 60 on both sides. I get 4x equals 65. I don't know why I said 60. Let me go back and write that out. Then I get negative 30. I divide by 4. I get x equals negative, I don't think that's right, 30 divided by 4. 7.5 is what I meant. My pen's not working.